I'm Scott, once again here with Abundance Coaching TV, and I am very excited about our guest on our show today, and her name is Sarah Michael. And Sarah has been somebody who I've recognized as somebody who is very clear on what she wants. She helps business owners get clear as well. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about clarity, we're going to talk about courage, and we're going to talk about how you can get clarity and courage with your business. But in addition to that, Sarah has some really interesting ideas about confidence as well. So the title of our episode today is With Clarity Comes Courage and Confidence. So I'm sure you're interested in hearing more about what we're going to share and what Sarah has to talk about. Now, in just a couple sentences, Sarah and I actually met at a conference recently, and at that conference, I was really excited just to get to know Sarah simply because I felt this joy that was around her. And Sarah just has this ability to just to come into people's spaces and really just lighten up your mood, your day. And although I have not worked with her on the business sense, I know that would be something, judging from what I experienced personally, that would also be brought into business. So I think that would be really, really important as far as helping a business get their own clarity and confidence and courage. So welcome to our show, Sarah.
Hello, thank you.
Right on. This is awesome. So Sarah, can you share just a little bit, like, why did you come to this title today? Like, what was so important about the title, With Clarity Comes Courage and Confidence?
Well, it's something that I have on deeper and deeper levels gotten really grounded in for myself as well as my clients, that if you get clarity on what it is you do, who it is you serve, and why it is you do what you do, why, your why, that why you compelled to bring this to the world, even before you have the sales muscle, even before you have the speaking in front of the room muscle developed, you can act as if. You can get really, really far just knowing what you're going to say to people. And then you start talking to people, you start getting good reactions, you start getting more confidence and more courage, and it just builds from there.
Right on. Very cool. Very cool. So, so talking about, what's important about, liberating your earthbound angels in the corporate work, what does that mean, liberating your earthbound angels in corporate work?
Liberating earthbound angels from the corporate world basically means, in my mind, I feel like due to a myriad of reasons, we are encouraged towards careers that fit our personality or fit our skill sets and our natural tendencies that may or may not be our life's work. It may or not be our purpose on this earth. So any of us who are messengers, who are called to get our work into the world, that's what I would consider an earthbound angel. So taking those earthbound angels that have begun to feel restless or have already emancipated themselves but now really don't know what to do, they just know they have to do it.
Right.
So then how do they build a purposeful business around what they are called to do in this world?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the big things that I encounter too, is people love my theme. The slogan for our company is live with passion and have abundance in life. And they love that. It's like, okay, it sounds cool. I love passion and abundance. That's all fantastic. And of course, what we really coach people with in our company is to help them get unstuck so that they can live their life purpose with passion and abundance. But that's often a big jump for people. So what do you do to help people understand that, there's a life purpose, there's passion, there's your job, there's the monetization part of your job, and all that? How do you help people with that part of it?
Yeah, the first part, usually people come to me knowing of their passion. They may not have yet figured out that the passion relates to their purpose. So one of the first things we do together is it's a more or less a brainstorming exercise, but tying the passion to the purpose, so it's easy for the person to see that, yes, I am driven, I am compelled to do this And it's more than just like a hobby, more than just something I like to do, but really my expression of my purpose on this earth. So it's the initial several exercises, that being I call it finding the purpose in your passion. And it always happens every time. It does line up. Can take a little more work for some people, but it's always really gratifying because a lot of people are just convinced it's not their passion, that it's not their purpose, that it's something else or it's unrelated, and they get really excited when they see that it all relates.
Okay, so what about the monetization part? So can anybody turn their passion into a lifestyle that they can live and afford to pay for whatever they need to pay for?
I would say pretty much yes. It just depends. I mean, one of the things we do work on is how is then that purpose expressed in the business. And when I say expressed, I don't mean verbally or marketing materials. I mean literally, how does that show up as a service, or how does that show up as a product? And, there's probably infinite ways that it can manifest in the real world. And it just depends on the personality and what that person wants and needs. I do find a lot of purpose-based work is service-based work.
Right.
A product is something that they would make out of the service. They would record the teleclass and put a price on it.
Right.
But it is the service of like intellectual property rather than a widget. A physical product.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so, talking more on that, like inspiration comes up. And inspiration is just so key. For me, I think that when I get dry, I don't know what you feel like, but when I get dry, I have to draw on something. And more often than not, it's the inspiration of my why. It's the inspiration of what got me going in the first place. But what would you say to somebody who feels like, I am dry, or my inspiration has waned, or, they just they don't know where to go because they have this passion, they have this this purpose, but they get that major roadblock. What do you have to offer for that person?
Well, a couple of things. One is I find for myself personally, as well as clients, that when we run dry, it's probably because we've been running ourselves ragged.
Right.
It's probably because we have spent too much time in our head and not enough time in our heart, and we're moving from one activity to the next without any time to reflect or slow down. And usually I have a few meditations I recommend that help get in touch with both our inner selves as well as source. And if nothing else, they slow us down for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And once we can pull back a little bit, it's amazing how much perspective we get.
Right on. Okay, so pulling back and then doing some inner meditation and visualizations, that's excellent. That's often what I recommend as well too. Part of what we talk about is the abundance mindset. So one of them is taking time to rejuvenate yourself. So that sounds in alignment with what you're sharing, to actually just fill your spirit up again at those times. Okay, great. So tell me a little bit more about your story. Like, why did you get into what you do, and why is it so important for you to be living your life purpose and then helping other people live their life purpose and to, do the courage thing and get confidence with it? Like, where's the story?
Where's the story? Well, the story was about 2 years ago. It was the summer of 2011. I did a course in partnership in Colorado, actually with horses.
Ooh.
Horses are our best partnership teachers because they won't move unless you're in partnership. And I came back to my corporate job at that point. And there was a little blip, I think, like right the following week, of course, because I had to get shaken up. And I was very aware in that moment that I could do more good for this world outside of the corporate structure. I was trying to share the transformational work I was learning, and I kept bumping up against the HR department and worries about, I work with a lot around masculine and feminine energies, so they would hear the word masculine and feminine and think lawsuit, sexual harassment or something like that.
Right.
So I started making my moves towards a coaching business, and I had signed up for a mentorship program in, I guess it was February of last year, and it began in April, and the remarkable thing was I was let go from that job 5 days before that mentorship program started. So it was very much like the universe was saying, yeah, like, just in case you're not clear, we're going to remove all distractions.
Yeah.
Just so you can focus on this. And where I was at the time, I was a marketing director for years and years and had all this experience. And I was very kind of willfully proud that I was a marketing person, not a salesperson. I would actually announce this to you should you ever refer me jobs, a little defensively, I don't do sales. I was very clear. And I remember a day, basically a year ago this month, where, the little voices that come up in our head, my little voice, or not so little voice that day, said, we don't want to sell. And I answered right back, then we have to get a job. These are our options.
Yes.
And the little voice responded back, okay, we'll sell. And I have had to pull in and seek out tons of sales training, authentic sales, because we're coaches. We can't, It can't be slick and slimy and ugh. So had to pull that in and really found a whole new source of my own strength and capacities, because it isn't that hard. It's certainly, a lot of things to get over between your issues around sales or your issues around asking for money. It's a lot of work, but it's really not that hard. And it can be taught, and you can even teach somebody who is committed to never how to sell. And really just have done really well with that. And I actually won a marketplace competition for the highest sales about 3 weeks ago.
Woo! Good job!
That's it all. Yeah, totally woohoo.
Cool, awesome. So really, I just hear you saying there was the option to do this, and then there's the option to do that, and you said, okay, well, I'm not willing to go to the pain again of the job, so I'm choosing this. But what also can come into there is the limiting belief could have happened right there in that moment, and I see that there was a choice that you had to do. It was a deciding factor. It was just okay, if I don't choose to follow my purpose with all gusto, with all step in, with all commitment, and also find the resources, and from what I hear from you, also getting the mentors, getting the coach yourself to actually go in that right direction. There's that choice, or else there's the choice, okay, that's a really hard road. I'd have to do some risky things. I'd have to invest more money and all these other things, but that's really your passion. Well, you know what, I could really just go here. So what did you have to do to actually, you're at that crux. What really happened? What really happened at that, at that intersection?
Well, what happened, I guess, just after that morning with the voice in my head, is I hit what I've heard called ego's last stand. It's when our ego or our instinctive self gets so upset, so scared by what we're doing, that it just throws up crazy big resistance, trying to get us to stop, trying desperately. For me, it showed up that I basically cried for 4 out of 5 Sundays.
Yeah, wow.
And for 2 or 3 hours. So not like me.
Why Sundays? Why not why Sundays?
Busy the rest of the days.
Oh.
Something about being kind of off and down on that day where I could feel it would come up.
Got it.
And the amazing thing was, because I let it out, because I didn't try to stuff it back down or squelch it, I would wake up the following Monday morning and I'd go to work.
Okay.
And I'd work the whole week towards my coaching business. And then one Sunday it didn't need to happen anymore. And that's when I started making money. That was last June. During the 4 Sundays were in June last year.
Wow. Okay. So that obviously has helped you with your own work with limiting and empowering beliefs. So tell me how you actually experienced your work firsthand with limiting beliefs in your life, and then what you did to actually build that mindset with empowering beliefs. Because you talk a lot about belief systems, right? And what you do.
Yeah, I do. The first thing I did was really just start to be aware of the limiting beliefs, of what was going on in my head, like the we don't want to sell, or this is scary, or we can't do this. And then I just kept going with compassion on myself. I did kept moving ahead. I was pulling in the sales training. I was pulling in the more coaches, more mentors, and just kind of through sheer determination and will, I started having sales conversations, which were a train wreck. Sometimes the client signed up, but there was no finesse or panache to those conversations. It was luck, and they were ready. I didn't do anything overly enrolling, and I just got better and better and better. And also, one thing I work with my clients on that I work on myself is really acknowledging the progress. So seeing where I was improving, and that's where the courage comes from. So starting to recognize the evidence that we're doing better, that we're learning, that we're developing a skill we didn't have, and then being able to build on that courage to go have better conversations and get even more courage, and so on and so on.
Right on. Very cool. Very cool. All right, so what's your number one vision in the world?
My number one vision in the world is back to the masculine and feminine strengths and energies, and that is that we as a world, as a culture, global culture, that we embrace both masculine and feminine forms of power to solve the world's big problems. And it's not, the world's big problems are not going to be solved via just masculine strengths alone. That's how we've been trying to do it. And I'm not saying we need to all sit around in a circle singing Kumbaya completely to the other side of the spectrum in the feminine strengths, and manifesting and visualizing. It takes a balance. It takes the vision, and then it takes the action and the execution.
Right on. Cool. That's a great vision. I like it. Okay, so last question, and then I'm going to let you share what you do and how people can find you, okay? This question's really close to my heart because I ask all my guests this question, and I have an ongoing survey on my website on abundancecoaching.ca where people can actually survey this. And when I get 1,000 results, I'm going to publish the results, and it's very interesting already, okay? So you get to be part of something groundbreaking. Ready? Yeah. One major question: what are you looking for in life, Sarah Michael?
What am I looking for in life, Sarah Michael? I am looking for... it's coming. I'm looking for, I guess, a transformation. Constant waves of personal transformation, I think, is what life is about. And overall, in general, I'm looking for the world to transform. I'm looking for us to find better ways of doing things that support us, mind, body, and spirit, instead of just supporting our bank accounts.
All right. That's awesome. Very cool. Cool.
Thank you.
So how can we find you? How can we get to know you?
Sure. So my name is Sarah Michael. As we know, my company is Sparkling Results Coaching. My URL is the same. It is Sparkling Results, and that's plural, sparklingresultscoaching.com. My email address, where you can want to email, is just Sarah with an H, at sparklingresultscoaching.com. And what I do in the highest level terms is I bring clarity and confidence to the heart center entrepreneur to monetize their business fast. I'm very clear, like I was last spring, very clear that we can't stay in our business centered on our purpose if we're not bringing in an income to support our lifestyle, our families, our needs. And we do that through a system of steps that include the clarity and the confidence, as well as consistency, which is I have a heart-centered business plan, because business plans in the most typical sense are crazy making, and it does us no good if we get so overwhelmed by the document we never fill it out. So it's a bit of a pared down one. And then also we go into deep work with your communication, your messaging, and then how that is actually expressed in your marketing materials and your sales conversations in a way that's powerful and that you own it. Because if we're not owning it, we're going to have a lot of conversations and not a lot of success. Really got to own that we are gifts to this world, that we are earthbound angels, we are messengers, and then how to go out and monetize it as fast as possible.
That's right. We all have a purpose.
Yes.
We all have a reason for being here.
I don't know it.
I know. Find it.
Recently, that was so committed that she didn't have a purpose.
Yeah.
And I rattled, like, our sales conversation, like, shook her up so much. I mean, she was just like, she didn't know which way to turn because she didn't realize she had this in her before we talked.
Yeah, and you can go out and totally make. I was asking you a question that I totally believe. My belief is that flat out, you can go out and live your passion, and you can monetize it. I've seen it. I'm doing it. I've seen other people, and I don't care if it's like rock climbing, coaching, or skydiving. Whatever it is, there's somebody else that's interested enough in what you're doing that they will pay you for the services. But where people I find get stuck, and I'm sure you see this the same way, is that they don't master what they do. They don't actually apply themselves enough to actually like say, okay, well, what that is. And then obviously there's the limiting beliefs and empowering belief thing that comes in, but you have to master whatever you do in order to become the most valuable person. If you can, become the most valuable person in that industry, so that they crave what you know. Yeah. Awesome. Very cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well, it's been a blessing having you here. It's been great having you. Thank you so much for being part of our show.
Well, thank you for having me so much. This has been really good fun. Thanks so much.
All right. Awesome. And for you in the audience, this is Abundance Coaching TV, where we coach you to live with passion and have abundance in life. Thanks for coming. Once again, I'm Scott App. Have a great day. Hi, once again, this is Scott here with Abundance Coaching TV, and today I get to interview Donna Orbovich. And Donna is an incredible yoga instructor. She is an entrepreneur. She's also somebody who's been in my network for a long time through a number of the sources. I've done some yoga with her, and I feel that you are a wellness expert. So thank you so much for being on our show.
Thanks, Scott. It's so good to be here.
Yeah.
I love Abundance TV. I love it. It's so great. You guys are great.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Very cool. So as I was mentioning, the topic of the day is health and wellness. Right? So specifically, I want to ask you some questions because I feel that you are a wellness expert. And you have taught me some things, partly through what you do with your yoga. And I think that there's so much to know, and the audience is very interested in just knowing more about wellness. Because what happens if you avoid wellness, or you don't get into conversations about wellness, or actually appreciate yourself with wellness? What happens?
I think that the other aspects of our life become depleted. Like wellness to me is so crucial to having everything else flowing and growing and abundant. And it's our natural state. Like our natural state is to be well with the body and blissful and happy and joyful in the mind. So we need that natural state to really grow in every other avenue.
Oh, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. So you need that natural state. So I think of wellness, and I won't call myself an expert, but I totally appreciate the wellness side of things, and as being a coach, of course, there's a component of that I always bring in. But I look at the three components: the body, the mind, and the spirit. So could you speak to the three individually? So start with the body.
Body, right. I love being strong in the body. That's why I practice physical yoga and a few other areas of fitness. Our bodies are our vehicle. It gets us through the day. It helps us take on the actions we're going to do. And it's a gift. Like we have this amazing gift of our body. And it's very easy in today's world to start to take in certain foods that aren't great for us, or to do or not do activities, to not take care of our body. There seems to be a lot of ways to get a quick fix, but over time will definitely deplete our resources. So to me, the body is the gift, and we should really try and keep it strong and steady.
That's awesome. So what are some ways? Like, I'm sure you're listening. It's like, oh yeah, I've heard that. You're to take care of your body. Sounds good. Scott's got the yoga woman on here.
Well, for me, I have what I call power habits in the morning. And Body's not the first one, but it is in there. And so I try and do either really strong cardio and yoga practice together. And if I miss out in the morning, I'll definitely get a yoga class in later in the day, or a really strong walk or some cardio later. So it becomes a daily ritual that doesn't have to take an hour. Like you can set aside, 20 to 30 minutes for some really nice, strong yoga or exercise or whatever anybody likes to do.
Yeah.
And that's part of your power habit.
Awesome.
It's like saying good morning to your body, like let's get going, guys.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so every time that I meet you,
Mm-hmm.
you've got an electric spirit and you've got an electricness to you. And I can't help but think that, your lifestyle and the way that you live your life has something to do with what you do with that power habit.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something that just like sets your day? It sets an
Sets
intention?
my day.
Yeah.
Sets my day. If I miss out on power habits, the day kind of goes, it's sort of like people who love their cars, they're not going to miss an oil change.
Mm-hmm.
But then what do they do with gearing up their bodies and keeping them in shape and maintenance on their bodies? Our houses, like we get our windows clean, we do this, we shovel snow, we, rake leaves. But our bodies, they're so much more sacred than cars and houses. So
Oh, that's great.
take care, really take care.
It's cool. So there you go. You have your first takeaway. We're only 5 minutes in. So what is your power habit? What can you do in the morning?
Yeah, for sure.
What can you do any time of the day? So like 15, 20 minutes is
15,
good.
20 minutes. And as you get stronger, be like, I love this. I'm going to do more. I'll figure out, maybe I'll check out a yoga studio. Maybe I'll go to a gym. Maybe I'll start jogging. I'll talk to somebody that knows about fitness, because it's always great to get some really good expert advice so we don't harm our bodies.
Yeah.
But you'll notice as you get stronger, you really, really love that feeling and embrace it and want to do more.
Awesome. So cool. So cool. All right. So the next topic is minds.
Minds.
Oh, wonderful. So I was just at a conference here with Donna, and as we were going through it, we actually readdressed our core values. So everybody that's watching here, if you don't know already, there's a core values game you can play. You can sign up for it just by signing up to our newsletter. It's just right on the right side. And core values are so important because they're the true essence of who we are. So we went over this again, and then I did some yoga with you, the other people.
Yeah.
So I thought what was really cool is you brought the mind into the yoga class.
Right, so important. I really believe in just a thread or a fiber of messaging in class, because we're working on our bodies, but such an amazing space. We're becoming aware, we're focusing on ourselves to just kind of thread in what's meaningful that we can do for our minds to create some strength and some balance and some bliss, like to be really happy.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I even remember you were just having us as we're doing our poses. You called it poses.
Poses.
Like, man, these are painful poses. Some of them. They're good though. No, they're really good. And as we were doing it, you were just addressing some of the core values and helping us to like get in alignment with it. So for me, what I experienced with doing the yoga with that also is engaging my mind once again with what was important to me.
What is important, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to chatter and noise. And to be fair, there's even some practices of yoga where they'll say, don't think, clear the mind. And I feel more like, let's use this time to really ponder something that's meaningful, like to really create an expression, because as we think, we become. Right? Everything starts with a thought. So when we start to check in, what are those thoughts? Do they have meaning? Do they have substance? Are they positive? Are they upward spiraling as opposed to downward spiraling? Like we just begin to really create something amazing.
Awesome. So cool. So cool. So there you go. So what are you creating right now with your time, and how are you engaging your mind? Right. As a fact that it's part of your wellness, mental well-being. All right. So the next part is your spirit. Okay, so we all connect with our spirit. There's lots of people out here, different faith, different religions, different spiritual backgrounds, things like that. Okay, but what does that mean? Spirituality and connecting with your spirit, with your wellness, like how does that all tie together?
For me, and for physical wellness, the mind, wellness of the mind, but also just my entire life, whether it's career, family, whatever, there's got to be an ideal. So I always feel that the higher the ideal. So if someone has an intense and wonderful faith in God, that might be their ideal to really, work towards. Spirit, source, universe, we call it so many different things, but when that ideal is present, everything else just falls into place. Like when we need help, help comes. And when we need support, support comes. when we lose the ideal and the purpose, it doesn't feel good anymore. Like it's not a joyfulness in the work. It's really it gets stuck very easily. So I feel like that ideal just lets everything soar.
Yeah, I like that word soar.
Soar is great.
That's great. It's awesome. Just like, you can feel like the lightness when you feel the soaring.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. What are some tips that you could give the audience? Right? Different people on this show are at different levels. So you may feel like, whew, all right, cool. Well, what's all this stuff? It's so intense. But other people might be like, yeah, I'm right in my wheelhouse. But what are a few tips, with respect to people at different stages that they could do? Let's start maybe at like the novice or the intermediate tips.
I think that anybody at any stage can examine and take a few moments or several moments or maybe even 30 minutes or an hour to just look at their life and see what's meaningful to them. Ask a few questions of yourself, like what is of most value to you?
Sure.
What creates meaning in your life? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? Just questions like that. Identify those and then start to really ponder it and reflect on our actions and our thoughts and how they support that.
Awesome.
So, and I really, really believe in some sort of morning ritual power habit, just because we're so open in the morning, before we start checking emails, because then everything gets crazy and the phone and the kids and then this and then that. So we've got to have important quiet time to really ponder what's meaningful to us.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Let's talk a little bit more about the quiet time. I know for myself, some of the best things that I actually do when I get to a place where I can actually appreciate nature, or if I can just like get away to like just like totally be in solitude. So I'm with God for me, and just getting to that place where just like I connect with my spirit, or else I just can appreciate like, wow, these leaves falling from the trees are awesome, or the beach is awesome, and the breath of air is awesome. I love it. So what are some things like that works for me, right? But from a wellness perspective, for you with solitude, what works?
That's so great. For me, it's kind of funny. My life is so busy that when I have 15 minutes in just a chair by myself and it's quiet, I'm just so happy. It's like I get so excited, and then the thought, like I have to, all these amazing ideas start coming. If you're just open to it. So whether it's on a beach and just going, nature's incredible, or it's just carving out time for you by yourself in a quiet space to let some things flow in and some things flow out, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to just get, purged, let it go away so the good stuff can come in. So I think it's just time and to identify, like if you really need that beach and being outdoors, go for it, man. It's so beautiful. But if it's really just a quiet space, you can start there too.
Awesome. So quiet space, right? So, and then getting to a place where you can actually purge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. What was the third one?
The time for yourself to actually do it. Yeah.
Right on. Cool. So is there something in there that you could actually do for yourself? Is just to find that space, find that time, find that area where you can get into a place where you just know that you could refresh and renew yourself and have solitude, or just renew yourself by just like getting out of whatever your regular routine is. Some things I know for myself, because I often work out of my house, is I just need to leave my house, because the environment that I'm used to is just like the environment where I'm used to certain things happening as well. And the room that I'm in, I'm used to certain things happening. So when I go into a totally new environment, then that helps me. So maybe that's something that could help you. That's great. Awesome. Donna, how can people connect with you? How can they reach out to you? I'm sure that they're inspired by what we're saying.
I hope so, and I'd love to really help anybody that I can. I love this idea of us connecting. Like that's my favorite thing, when people start getting connected and they serve each other in the world and everything changes. It's so cool. So we have a website, which is authenticthoughts.com. And I love that name because it means we all have these authentic thoughts and potentiality, and we need to express it. We need to be true to ourselves. So authenticthoughts.com. And I can always be reached there, Donna@authenticthoughts.com.
All right. Wonderful. And you have a program that's coming up?
Yeah, we have this amazing program. My partner Nick and I have been working really hard. We're yoga teachers. But it's not just about yoga. It's really about creating a sense of growth and confidence and command. So we have an online training that we've been developing and targeted first to yoga teachers who really want to grow their classes, double, triple, quadruple their class size because they care about their students. So the real message behind the training is how do we connect with people? How do we walk into a room with command and confidence? And how do we create meaningful messaging? Things like that. So hopefully this training will begin to serve a lot of different people, not just yoga teachers or trainers or dance teachers, but we really want to help everyone feel this amazing energy when they walk into a room. So everyone's like, who's this person? Like, I want to know you. I want to hang out with you. You're the best. He is.
Oh, thanks. I'll pay you later.
No, not necessarily.
Cool. So yeah, I'd really appreciate you just coming on the show
Thanks.
today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, you just emit that energy of life and the wellness that we speak of. Donna lives it. I can see that there's wellness in her, and in the three aspects that we talked about as well. So just take some of the notes. You can watch the replay on this episode. Just take some notes for yourself and just ask yourself some of those deep thoughts of how you're having your power time or where you can actually find solitude. Because you want to be able to connect back with your body, mind, and spirit, and you certainly want to have wellness in your life. So thanks again, Donna, for being on the show.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right. Awesome.